Do you have any kind of audio problems in Windows 10? If so, this is the tutorial for you on how to resolve those audio problems. First and foremost, if you don't hear any sound, you can go down to the lower right corner and you click on this little sound icon and you might see it's crossed here. Click it and you should now be unmuted. Now you can check if your sound works again. If you do know about the mute function in Windows and this did not solve the issue, let's move on. Go to Control Panel. In Control Panel, you go to Sound. In Sound, you can see this Playback. Here we have different units. Right-click and make sure that you show inactive and disconnected devices, because if your device is not present here, you can check if it's there. And if it's inactivated, you can activate it. Dependent on what unit you are using, you can test and see which one is the right one. If we test on this one, we don't hear anything, which means this should not be the standard. If we right-click this one and check test, we can hear the sound from the speakers I am using. So, if the one that you want to use and you hear sound from is not the standard unit, then you'll need to go down here and click standard to make it the standard unit. Something that's always worth trying when trying to solve general sound issues in Windows 10 is to go into the device manager again, and then we go through all of the sound devices and inactivate them, deactivate them, right click and deactivate them. And when they are inactive, you just go in there again and you activate them one by one. This might cause your sound issues to be gone. Always worth a try, but it's mostly commonly solves issues when sound is gone completely. One other possibility is that internal sound is disabled in BIOS. If this is the case, you need to go into BIOS and enable internal sound. Are you having problems with crackling, stuttering and choppy audio playback? Well, what's the reason this kind of issue appears? Well, usually it's a driver issue, most commonly your sound card driver and sometimes your network card's drivers. Before we dive into that, I want to mention some other reasons that can cause the same issues. While I personally trust wires a lot more for both reliability and health, a lot of people like to use wireless headphones. If you do, these wireless headphones communicate through Bluetooth or similar. This connection might be disturbed by other devices using the same or similar connections. Deactivate Bluetooth and turn off all wireless devices. Connect in only your headphones and see if the issue appears. Then we have people who have reported to me that their crackling issue was because of their extremely dusty computers. If your computer is filled with dust, the dust can interfere with the electronics and cause crackling audio. If you have an extremely dusty PC, clean it up and see if the issue remains. Get up Control Panel by search, and then you just go to Category View By and select large icons instead. Then you go to Sound. Here in Sound, you go to the sound device that you are using, and if you're unsure which one is the correct, you can right click them and click Test and see if it's right, and the one that is right you mark and you click Set as Default. Double click that and then you go to levels, you can make sure it's not muted or something. Then we have enhancements. You want to keep this little box here, disable all enhancements, checked, because the enhancement might cause stuttering issues on your system and it's usually just best to use your sound raw. I'd say there are other softwares that are better actually if you want to change the sound, so just keep a disable all enhancement, it's for the best. Then you go to advanced and here you can have the audio quality. And the higher this is, it's a slightly heavier for the performance, but not that much you should care about it in my opinion. Set this as high as possible, 24-bit and this. However, if you have any kind of issues or compatibility issues, like if you're using Skype, it might be necessary to select this at 16-bit 44-100 Hz, like CD quality. You can set it as CD quality and you will have much better compatibility with other programs, but you will lose a little bit of the audio resolution. So if you don't have any trouble having it higher, keep it as high as possible. Different sound cards are differently sensitive, but if you keep your volume at like 1% or 2%, the volume might be so low that the sound card accidentally picks up other electromagnetic disturbances from other cards and electronics around it. That might cause some audio disturbances and crackling audio. On the other hand, if the audio is 100% boosted like that, then it might also crackle because the sound card might get a little bit overflooded with the signals, and that might also cause crackling audio disturbances. Generally, you want to keep your Windows volume bar from 30 to 80%. If your crackling and stuttering audio playback issues are not completely gone by this initial tips, you'll need to go through with looking at the sound and perhaps network drivers. So hang in there. This first solution we will look at usually solves the problem for people that are using Realtek sound cards. It might solve the issue for other people too, but it's mostly relevant for those with a Realtek sound card, which is quite common. What you need to do is basically use another type of driver. So how do we do this? Well, we do it like this. You click the Windows and the X key. Here you get this menu and you can launch the device manager, as it is called. On the device manager, we go down here, we have sound, video and game controllers. Here we have the Realtek high definition audio. What you want to do is you want to right click this and you go to update the driver. Before you complete this step, you should note that the sound from your system will disappear and you need to restart the computer for the sound to come back. So watch the entire video before you follow all of my instructions. Then you do like this, browse my computer for driver software. And then you select let me pick from a list of available drivers. Then you make sure this show compatible hardware is checked. And then you should see Realtek high definition audio and high definition audio device. Select the high definition audio device, not the Realtek one, and click next. Click yes to this box. You can always revert the changes afterwards if you are unhappy with it. Then you will need to restart your computer for the changes to take effect. When a computer is restarted again, you can go into Device Manager again, and you can see that you now have the high definition audio device. However, we are not completely done yet. You can also go to the control panel and click sound here, and inside here you can see it's called high definition audio device, as well as on the microphone. Windows Update may install new drivers, the Realtek drivers that will override this change, or at least did for me, which eventually will bring back the problems you just fixed. If you need to stop this, what you can do is you go to the control panel, go to Devices and Printers. Inside Devices and Printers, find your computer, right-click it, and go down to Device Installation Settings. On the device installation settings, you will click No on do you want to automatically download manufacturer's apps and custom icons available for your devices. Click No and save the changes. This may cause some other stuff to not work properly, and if you notice that, just change that back and let Windows Update do its job. But then you might need to go back to Device Manager and basically install the Windows high definition drivers instead of the Realtek ones, because unfortunately the Realtek drivers haven't worked very well for, well, they never worked very well, sadly. If you for some reason need to change back the drivers to the old Realtek one, just go into Device Manager, right-click and select Update the drivers, and then select Automatically Search Online for the drivers, and it will find the latest Realtek drivers you had earlier and install them instead. While rare, SoundAlarm Antivirus has been reported to cause crackling and audio issues for some people when using especially online services. To install it, you'll need to go to Control Panel as I've shown here and select Uninstall on SoundAlarm Free Antivirus. Check Yes and let it uninstall the software. By doing this, you can check if it removed your crackling issues, which for some people happen, and usually then on online sound sources like YouTube or others. Then, after you have installed the software, you'll need to check that Windows Firewall is active and working. If it didn't change the crackling, you can install it again, since it's safer. SoundAlarm, that is. Now, another thing that might cause issues like this is old or non-functional network drivers. When the drivers to your Ethernet or Wi-Fi card is outdated, some crackling issues with audio playback, especially online, might appear. But it might appear offline as well. It's really strange. What you can do is you can right-click them and you can select Update and try to search for an update automatically. Alternatively, you could find a manufacturer of your network card and go to their homepage and there download the latest drivers. Then you'll install that and see if the crackling disappears by that. But of course, that would be far too simple. Yes, drivers is weird, Windows 10 is weird, and a lot of things can go wrong. Turns out the newest drivers, it's not always best for you. In my case, for example, I had to use an older driver for it to work. To do this, you go into Device Manager, you right-click, you click Update, and you select a driver from those available on your PC. There, you can go into your Ethernet card and select an older version. I set the version that is the eldest of those I have. This combination with a Windows high definition and the older Ethernet driver did remove the crackling audio problem for me completely. In addition to that, I turned off that Windows could automatically install new drivers, and by this triple combination I could remove my crackling problems completely. If you are using a wired connection and your computer starts giving you the crackling sounds after it has woken up from sleep mode, the problem can sometimes be fixed like this. You go to Network Adapters and then you'll find your wired network. Here we have the wireless, here we have the not wireless, the wired connection. And you double click it, you get this little menu here, and then you go to the Power Management tab. And here you can have this checkbox, allow the computer to turn off this device to save power. Uncheck that and select OK. Now this is good for wired connections, but I wouldn't do this for wireless connections because you don't want it active all the time. On the wired connection it doesn't really matter, but usually when you have it plugged in like that you also have a power cable, which is the point. Anyhow, this is a common solution if the crackling appears after it has woken up from sleep mode. Now I haven't had this issue myself, but other people have reported that using an adblock plugin into your browser has caused audio to crackle. So you can try to remove that or just install another browser and see if it's doesn't appear in a browser without adblock. How to fix when Windows 10 is unable to record sound. Okay, so your Windows doesn't allow you to record a sound. Well, usually the problem is quite simple. Usually you just need to go to the settings. Just open the settings application. In the settings menu you find the privacy tab. When you go to the privacy tab, you need to go to the microphone. Here under microphone, you can see allow apps to access your microphone. If these settings are off, allow desktop apps and allow apps to access the microphone, then applications like Audacity or Skype won't have the ability, won't have the access, won't have the rights to use your microphone. So you need to keep these on, and that should fix the problem for most people. However, we should dive a little deeper. So please click your Windows key and open the control panel that you can find most easily by search. In the control panel, you have the sound tab. On the sound tab, we have recording. And on recording, we can see we have different microphones here. Now, what you need to do is you need to right-click and make sure that Show Disabled Devices and Show Disconnected Devices are checked. Then you can activate. You can see this. We can disable it. We can right-click it again, and we can enable it. Now, you can basically tap the different microphones you have here to see which one you want to use. If you have an external microphone, it's usually the best microphone, which is the one I use now. Then you can go into the microphone you want to use and go to Properties. Then you can go to Levels, and here you can decrease this level and you can also increase it. If this is too high, you might pick up background noise. So just click Apply and close this down. However, let's pretend that we set this as the default device. And we right click and we go to Properties. And here you can also see the levels here. This one, we have two different sliders, the microphone and the boost or side tone. The microphone first slider is the sensitivity. So if you are having a real problem to hear the sound, you can use this one, this booster, to boost the sound so that you might hear yourself. If this first slider is too high, you might pick up background noise. One thing that can be the problem here is that this little button is checked so that it's basically muted. When your microphone is muted, you can obviously not use it. Sometimes the personal enhancements are problematic. Then you might check Disable all sound effects and click Apply. If that also didn't solve the issue for you, you can do one more thing. You can click Windows key and X. Then you can get up Device Manager. Click on Device Manager. Inside the Device Manager, we can find the sound, video and game controllers. Here we can find the different audios we use here. We have Realtek High Definition and we have Samsung Go. What we can do is we can try an updated driver. We can also disable this device and enable it again. So basically we can do with this one, because this one I'm not using. We can disable it. Yes. And then we need to wait a little bit. And then you can see it's crossed there. So then we can use enable it. This you can do for all of these if you're not sure which one you are using. It doesn't hurt to disable and enable them. If the problem persists, you can try and right click and uninstall device and then restart your computer. This might bring back the audio. When you restart the computer again, you should have some default drivers. If that causes problem for you, you can right click it again and you can click update the driver and you can click browse the computer for the drivers, let you pick from a list and choose high definition audio device drivers instead. Install that, restart the computer and see if that works. So how do I make my microphone louder in Windows 10? Well, fortunately for you, it's pretty simple. Let's get Control Panel. You get Control Panel, you just click the Windows key and you search for Control Panel. Launch that nice Control Panel. Here we have something called Sound. Click on the Sound. Here we have the beautiful Sound tab. Amazing. Here we have Recording Devices, and you can see we have different recording devices. Well, let's right click this one and click Properties. This is one microphone. Beautiful, beautiful. And you might have many microphones here. You want to make sure that you have Show Disabled Devices and Show Disconnected Devices checked, because sometimes a thing is disabled and maybe this is the microphone you actually want to use. That would be terrible. And if this is the microphone you want to use, click Enable. If you're unsure, enable them all and let's check. You can tap the microphone you want to use and you will see which one of these react the most. Mark the microphone you want to use and set it as default. You can also go like this. You can click Properties, you can click into Listen, you can check this Listen, click Apply, and now you can basically listen to this. Amazing. Here we have some sliders. Now this is the microphone we don't want to use, but you can see here we have a slider that we can increase and lower the sound. On this thing here, you can click this one and you see the sound disappears completely. You can click it again and it comes back. Here we have microphone boost. Amazing. And here we have the level. Now, what you might notice, which is pretty interesting, is that this first slider sets the sensitivity of your microphone. So if you hear a lot of background noise, you might want to keep this a little lower, like, I don't know, 26, and then you boost the microphone instead. Now, as you can hear, we have a lot of less background noise, but still better volume. However, if you have really trouble to even hear anything, you might want to keep them both to max. But you might get some distortion issues. I'm tired of listening to this thing, so you just turn it off. And here we have another little interesting setting, just so you know. Here we have different resolutions of the audio. Now, your built-in microphone for your PC isn't very good, so set that to CD quality. If you have a really good mic, you might have it higher, but it's probably not needed. Some programs like Skype or other communication applications might have problems with what bitrate you have. If you have any compatibility problem with any program, set this to CD quality. If some programs like Skype or Teams do annoying things to your sound and sound doesn't work, uncheck these two boxes and click Apply. Then it might solve the problem for you. But then you need to change the sound settings in here, of course. So that was basically that thing, and of course if I go to my real microphone here, as it has much better sound, it only has one slider here. So if I increase this, you can probably hear me a lot better now, but you also hear more of the background noise, as you hear. So then we might want to keep this a little bit lower down, but now you might think the volume is a little bit too low. For my microphone, I find it's best between 75 and 85. So I never keep this at 100 because then we get some distortion issues. And then we'll just click Apply and OK. If this still doesn't get you to the sound level you want to reach, we might need some heavy artillery. Go to the web page in the description. Here we have Equalizer APO. Click Download and install this thing. In this little configuration menu here, you need to set for which device APO needs to be installed. I will select my other microphone, like that, and then just click OK. And there you could see if you need to run it again. Alright, and then you need to reboot the computer. Alright, the computer is restarted. Now you need to launch the Equalizer, which is the configuration editor. Let's close this down and we check the device here, which we go to capture device. Alright, and here we have something called preamp. Amazing. And what we want to do is make it active, and then we can basically do it like this. So we can preamp it like that, which we can notice if we check the listen to this device. We can go here and we can hear that if we do preamp here, and we can preamp it up to an uncomfortable level. So of course I won't do the full boost, but of course if we go into levels, max these out and use this preamp and max that out, you'll get really high volume from your microphone. So that's basically how to do it. And remember that this program is called Configuration Editor when you need to launch it. This last method I'm going to show you is a little bit of the heavy artillery, and basically check your network cards and also your sound cards as we looked at before, but this time you just right click all of them and click uninstall. Do this for all the network cards and the sound cards. Now I'm showing you the network cards here, but it also includes the sound cards, the Realtek high definition audio, those we looked at before. Right click them and click uninstall. When you have done this, you will restart your computer, and when you have restarted your computer, they should come with the common base thing that came when you got your computer first, basically. That is the one that should be installed. By doing this, you should also be able to remove your issues. And when you have done that, make sure you have also locked Windows to not update any new drivers, as we looked to do before. If you do this, then you should probably have solved the problem. Also remember, you can turn on the auto update thing if you need to in the future. It might be a little bit different for you, but I think that all these tips combined in this video should help you find a permanent solution to your crackling problems. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I hope it did resolve your issues. If it did, please leave a like and subscribe for future videos. You can also donate if you want to help the channel out. In any case, this has been Jimodism Total Nerdery Channel. Jimodism signing out. Do you have no sound on the Windows 10 system? If you have this kind of problem, I will show you how to resolve it.